Peace, power, prosperity, everyone. How's everybody doing? You know, YouTube is whack, but I want to come with my own theme music to hype me up. But I just needed some music to hype me up tonight to get me in the mode, 10 o'clock Eastern. Hold up. Let's turn this. Oh, hold up. I got an echo. Let me fix this. All right. Peace to Junkyard Jedi. See, he's in the building. All right. Yeah, so we just had to fix that up. Well, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy post Gemini full moon. I hope you conducted some sort of ritual. My personal ritual was a magic mushroom trip and learned a lot, did a lot of deep diving. And the interesting thing about this particular trip was, Venus retrograde is about today. Yeah, Venus retrograde is today. And Venus retrograde is about morals. It's about your personal morals, your personal values, your personal principles, and how you utilize money, because money is a representation of your currency, the energy that you produce, right? So I'm looking, and I'm in this particular trance-like state. I'm listening to some binaural beats, right? And I'm in a trance-like state. And it just, what happened was the partners, the people that I had romantic exchanges with came up. And it was interesting because it was like, they were like in different rooms, so to speak. And I had the opportunity to kind of see myself reflected in these other people. See how my connection and my lesson or my direction was affected by these people. And look at the blessings and also look at the lessons, right? Because there's nothing really bad. Oftentimes, a lot of times when there's full moons, people say, we want to get rid of this or we want to get rid of that. But the thing is, do you really get rid of it? It's always there. Right? It's always part of the nervous system. It's always comes up as part of the thought process. So do you really get rid of it, even if you banish it and you're moving forward? Or are you really reprogramming your design, reprogramming yourself in the matrix, right? So we all are basically here to learn the code of the matrix, to try to decode the code. That's why we are studying spirituality. Those of you who are studying the occult, those of you who studying esoteric philosophy, hidden philosophy, the occult just means hidden, not nothing to be scared of, or esoteric philosophy, esoteric psychology, self-mastery, right? It comes in different names. There's initiation systems, right? There's secret societies, right? But in this particular trance state, it was just like, okay, I see this. I see how this was part of me. I see how this was part of me. I see how this was part of me. I see how I didn't have enough boundaries, or I see how I needed to erect, or I needed to have, or be more open in certain things, or change in certain ways, or part of my growth and development, how to move forward in different ways, and how each person kind of challenged that in different ways, some bad, so to speak, right? Some were lower vibrational, but some good, right? So I encourage everyone to take some time to do that today. Look back, look at your relationships, look at the people that you messed with the last year, or this year, if it's one person, look back. See if this person shares some of the values and the morals and your heart's desire with you, right? Let's see what's in here. Peace to doing her thing, though. Peace to Straight Panther, See who is out there helping you. right? Grow. Who is challenging you to grow? And if they are challenging you to grow, are you accepting the challenges? Are you just comfortable in your state of being and you just want to stay in your state of being? You have to be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do to change and what you're willing to not do to change. And some people really don't want to change. They don't want to transform. They don't want to grow. They're just comfortable who they are, right? You have people say, I'll be ghetto forever. You know what I'm saying? I'll be ghetto till I die. That's cool. You know, I can't judge anybody for that. That's their decision, you know. But I can't say myself, I want to be ghetto till I die. You know, I don't think that's the vibration that I want to be on. The ghetto is, there's a lot of misery, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, you know. And not to say you can't feel this same hurt, pain, and sorrow in, you know, the suburbs or on an island or something like that. But I'd rather, you know, take my chances in a, you know, well-kept, well-lit, safe community, you know, where people are living in abundance, you know, and hopefully, and there's melanated communities like that, but hopefully that is the pursuit of life, right? That is the pursuit of what you want to get into or what you want to grow into. So that's basically just me talking about and kind of introing this subject with a little story of what I went through last night and some things about what this Venus retrograde can be showing you through the reflections. Because, you know, the Gemini, we're in the moon of Gemini. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is about communication, but Mercury is really about divine communication. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So it's like sporadic thoughts at the same time, right? So, and Venus, of course, is the planet of love, right? Love, intimacy, values, right? Morals, your heart's chakra resonance. So when you see these people that you interacted with, or when you see this person that you interacted with, you're really looking at a mirror of yourself in some ways. And you have to realize as you look in the mirror, right? As you look at these relationships, as you look at these people or this person, do they reflect back what you want to see? Do they truly reflect what you want to see? If they don't, then you have to make a decision. And you have to really be honest with yourself, right? You really have to look and take inventory and really be honest with yourself of what you could have done wrong, or what you could have, or how you could have failed, or how you didn't live up to your end of the bargain, right? Because that'll make it easier for you to see what they didn't do or what they should have done or whatever, right? Because clarity is clarity. When you're clear with yourself, then you can see clearly through others, right? So that's where keeping your word comes in, and honesty. Shout out to everybody who's here. Please hit the like button if you are. So that was my full moon ritual. If you haven't done a ritual, what I want to give you out tonight is a ritual. This is one that I've done. You can still do this tonight. You can still knock this out tonight. And the ritual is basically you're going to write, you're going to script, right? Because this is Mercury season, communication season. But the sun is still in Sagittarius, right? We're still in Sagittarius till Tuesday when we go into the winter solstice. But the moon is in Gemini. Gemini is an air sign, right? Sagittarius is a fire sign. So you have Gemini in the moon, which is air, and you have fire, right? So when you spray an aerosol can with a lit lighter, right, or a flame, right? Spray an aerosol can next to a lit lighter, you're going to get a flame, right? You could create a flamethrower like that. So air on fire can create a flame, right? So what you do is you get a piece of paper. I don't have a piece of paper right here. We can use a piece of paper. Let's just say it's a piece of paper. And you could write on that piece of paper affirmations. And these affirmations are things that you want to change, things that you want to transform, things that you want to create about yourself. Character changes, right? Maybe you want to start working out. Maybe you want to start eating better. Maybe you want to change your diet. Maybe you want to work out more. And how you create and how you say these things is you put them in the I am. So I am healthy, right? I am fit. I am, if you're shy, I am bold, right? If you have, people who have some cowardice in them, I am brave. I am courageous. I am love. I am care. I am concerned. The things that you want from other people that people say they want in a relationship, you have to give that energy off as well. Because we are electromagnetic beings, we have a magnetic connection to each other. So because we have this magnetic connection to each other, the energy we put out is also going to be the energy that we receive. And this is where you get the concept of so-called luck. This is where you get the concept of luck. But you created luck. The 4-leaf clover was through your heart, through your heartbeat, and through the emotions that you emitted. If you go back and watch the story of Jimmy, that's what I was talking about. That's, basically an energy of righteousness. And righteousness doesn't mean you don't like to do ratchet things, or you may not look at, dirty movies every once in a while, right, on the internet. Doesn't mean you don't drink every once in a while or smoke some weed every once in a while or whatever, right? But your main objective is basically to give good energy to people. And what happens is people turn dark because of circumstances in their environment and circumstances in life. And usually it's a way to protect yourself. Like a lot of times women that gain weight, the reason they've gained weight is because they've encountered some sort of trauma. And usually it's sexual. So the weight is a way of protecting the body, right, from that type of trauma or even that type of sexual attention, right? So, but that is also something that needs to be healed and worked on, right? And it's not about simply releasing it, because how do you release something like that, right? How do you release something like that? What you do have to do is program yourself as a victor in this situation. You have to feel it. You have to feel the tension, where the tension is in the body, where it is, where do you feel the energy, if it's in the gut, if it's in the heart, but you have to take yourself back there. And the only way you can take yourself back there is through meditation. The only way you can take yourself back there is through meditation. Those of you who don't meditate, I don't know what to tell you. This is 2021. If you are new to the channel, I understand if you're just hearing me for the first time. But if you follow me, I always talk about meditation. Meditation is the key. And the reason it's the key is because you could create the wave and the particle. In quantum physics, the observer effect, right? The observer effect is when you look at something, that's when it becomes real. So until you give it your attention, until you give it your focus, it does not exist. It is only a potentiality in the matrix. So once you observe it, that's when it becomes real. So you create the particles, you create the scenery, right? And you have to think you've been programmed to see certain things since you were a baby, right? Just because of the environment and the collective consciousness. So we live in a holographic universe, but it's a universe that we all create as a collective consciousness. As one body, one universe. Anyway, I'm not even into the subject yet, but I just want to talk about the energy that we have. So the ritual, let me get back to the ritual. So the ritual is basically, you write these affirmations down. You write them on a piece of paper. You go outside, you say a prayer. Doesn't have to be a prayer to Jesus, doesn't have to be a prayer to God, but you can pray for your ancestors' help. You do have a bloodline. You do have people who were here before you that live in your blood. You have a mother, you have a father, you have a bloodline. So you can pray to your righteous ancestors or your strongest ancestors or your most beloved ancestors to help guide you and aid you on this journey. And as you say that prayer, right, then you burn the actual paper out, and you burn it. Just get it, just light the paper, hold it until it burns out. Make sure, the ashes out someplace safe. Don't do it in your house. You want to do this outside. Hopefully you can do it in a park or a backyard or a grassy area. And the reason being is you want it to burn the air because the moon is in Gemini. So the moon represents your emotions. So you want your energy to be in motion, right, while the air is moving. And when you're dealing with the air, you're dealing with something that's unseen. So you're dealing with the powers of the hidden world. There's more dark energy and dark matter than there is visible light in the universe. Even look behind me. Even though there's light, there's mostly darkness, right? So the hidden world is always more powerful than the visible world. This is why meditation is so important. And it still goes back to that twin energy of Gemini, with the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. The left hemisphere being the matter part of the brain, the physical part of the brain, the logical part of the brain, and the right brain being the emotional, the visual, the even more spiritual, and the more connective part of the brain, right? But you need both to survive. So Gemini is the twins. It's that twin energy. You got two arms that are connected to your left and right brain. You got two legs that do the same thing because it's a vehicle that you are moving in. But the vehicle is connected by twins, twin arms, twin legs, twin brain, twin halves of the brain, twin eyes, twin nostrils, twin lips, twin ears. So that's why Gemini represents, that's why you have a lot of people that are Geminis. The people that are Geminis are naturally show people. They're people that are very sociable. They're people that are very much out there. They're great performers. Prince, Kendrick Lamar, right? There's many great, Tupac. There's many great Gemini performers because they're great at putting on a show. Now, negative Gemini, that show could be too much. It could be over the top. It could be very ego, wanting to grab ego points, right? So it really depends on how it's used. But that's the energy that we're under today. So that is the science behind that particular ritual, where you could activate an emotional connection and a mental connection, because the moon energy is basically drawing that particular energy up into that star system. Because all this is about is, astrology is really just about stars that are above you, where the earth is spinning along its axis, right, around the sun. So it's really about that magnetic connection. There's always as above, so below, the law of correspondence. But anyway, shout out to everybody here. Let me check the chat. Peace to the real Birdman, right? I think I got it. Peace to come to Mama. Okay. So let's get into the old gods versus the new gods, right? So what are we talking about, right? Let's look at some new gods, right? Let's start with the new. Now, the old gods the new gods that we currently have is what's been hitting the media, right? The Omi, right? The Omi. I'm not going to say the whole thing. I know what I'm talking about. The Amarian, right? The Amarian variant. So that's been hitting the scene, and the way they are, I've never seen something so deadly be promoted so much. Like, it's this deadly that they have to do advertisements and commercials for it. Like, if it's this deadly, then why aren't just people dropping dead around me, Like it was this type of virus that's this ill. Now, I'm not saying anything, rest in peace to anybody who lost a loved one or family member. I'm not saying that it's not a serious thing. But what I am saying is a lot of these people had pre-existing conditions that passed, unfortunately. A lot of people weren't taking care of themselves, unfortunately. A lot of people just got it, unfortunately, right? But I firmly believe that that what's happening now is strictly propaganda. And you have to really understand that it's the winter in America, so people are catching the flu. It's normal, it's natural. Like this has been happening for thousands of years. And what they're doing is they're reclassifying it as something else. And people have bought into it. People are bought into the panic. People are running out. The Met Opera here, and the opera here in New York said, yo, you can't come in unless you got the boost. Unless you got that booster, you're not coming in. So that's a new God, right? This is a new way of looking at it. And it has many followers. There's many people worshiping this new God. And this new God is also fear, right? This new God comes with a lot of fear. It comes with a lot of nervousness. It comes with a lot of anxiety. It comes with a lot of anxiety with people with their jobs, people with their businesses. A lot of businesses went under or barely survived. A lot of new businesses starting, but they don't know if there's going to be another lockdown, which is what I predict. I predict that there's going to be another lockdown very soon. Very soon. And I think they're just waiting till after Christmas so people could go out and, and the business owners could get their fourth quarter right, get the books right. And then in January, by the second, third week, I predict that it's coming. I predict that it's coming, or they might wait and just keep pumping it up and keep pumping up the fear. And keep pumping up the fear until people just say, I'm gonna just give in, right? And the more and more people are gonna start to break. Because now that's the new thing. This booster is the new thing that they're trying to put in people. And it's like, how many of these injections do you really need? Like, how many do you really need to take care of it? Like, so after this, so there's going to be another variant, right? Because that's been the trend. When everything starts to die down, and I'm just looking at this logically. When everything starts to die down, then another variant comes, and another variant comes. So when is it going to stop? Like, when is it going to stop? When are people going to stop getting injections? Like, is it going to be 7, 8 boosters you're going to need? The plan on the CDC website is for everybody to get the Jabbington by 2030. That's some new God shit. When it's taken away your God, when if you don't have it, you could lose your job. When you don't have it, you can't feed your family. If you don't have it, you can't continue your career. That's a new God. The Omi. And these new illnesses that they continue to put in people's faces. All these sports players, all of a sudden, that's been double V'd, are going down. They got the double, and they've been playing amongst each other. Brooklyn Nets and lost all his players. They got to bring back Kyrie. The guy that they were just chewing out in the media, they got to bring him back for part-time games. That's a new God. The internet, because I didn't grow up with the internet. I grew up with the internet part of my life, but not as young as some y'all, 6, 7, 8, grew up with the internet. It's a new God. It's changing people's perception of themselves. More and more people are having plastic surgery than ever before. More and more people are changing the way they look. There's a new lane, Instagram models, right? There's new media, reality shows. There's a lot of I'll do so-called black media, melanated media, right? Popping up. And there's a lot of perceptions in this media that are being put out there. Everybody, if you go to college or if you're in the street or if you're a kid, you dealing drugs in 50s power universe. You go to college, if you're a child or if you're an adult in business, you're dealing drugs. If you're melanated, if you're black in the shows, like that's the narrative. I'm not hating it. I watch it. I watch BMF and all that. But at the same time, there's times that I don't, you know, like right now going into the winter solstice, I probably haven't watched maybe the last 3 episodes. Not because I'm holier than anybody. I just haven't the energy. I just don't want to indulge in it, you know, in that type of vision. I want to vision better for people that look like me or people that have, you know, this particular avatar body, this particular skin color, right? I want things to be better for us. But I also know that, you know, it's not going to be everybody. It's going to take a minority of people to make it better. But yeah, that's a new god. The internet. This is social media, right? The technology. And we're about to go into the metaverse. What did the metaverse commercial? Mark Zuckerberg, what did he say? He said that he wants to take away your imagination, to capture your imagination, something like that. But basically, he said imagination. So your mind will be locked in. You'll have some goggles on. Let me show you what's popping. Let me show y'all what's popping. So these are Apple glasses. Apple's secret augmented and virtual reality project, okay? So they're coming out with their own type of Oculus. Those of you who don't know, the Oculus is a virtual reality headset that's attached to Facebook, or was Facebook, now Meta. But now you have, so once this comes out, you know they're going to go crazy. They're going to go ham, as they say. They're going to go bananas. They're going to lose it when this Apple View comes out. Are you crazy? Facebook is huge, but nobody does it better than Apple as far as the marketing is concerned. So they're talking about dropping this next year. They're talking about dropping this next year. So the metaverse is a new god, ladies and gentlemen. Smart glasses, okay? Okay, this is what they're talking about. This is what's coming. When you put these glasses on, you see, you can have phone call conversations. You can see the weather. Come on, man, this is cool. Let's not act like it's not. And people are gonna live in here. And what they're gonna have are the haptic gloves and the bodysuit. Those of you who saw the series on this, what's the name of that series? It's on Amazon Prime. Upload. Those of you who saw Upload know what I'm talking about, where you have the suit, but they already have the haptic gloves. They already have the gloves ready. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull up. Yeah. So they already have the gloves, force feedback haptic gloves for VR training. So when you are in virtual reality, you will be able to feel things. You'll be able to touch things. You'll be able to grab things in virtual reality. What happens when they make the bodysuit? And you can actually feel like you're having sex in VR. Finger tracking technology provides the most accurate and reliable motion capture experience on the market. Okay? It's easy calibrated to users' hands in less than 30 seconds. The new gods are coming. All right? So that's another new god. Now, let's look at an old god. Okay, so this is from the show American Gods. And the show American Gods was about Mr. Wednesday, which Wednesday rules Mercury. Wednesday is a day for communication, by the way. So we're under this Gemini moon, so it's the same thing right now as of this recording, we're under the Gemini moon. So it's about communication, it's about talking, but it's about your emotional and your verbal communication, meaning not just how you talk, not just what you speak, but how you communicate emotionally, your emotional connection to things. What are you emotionally connected to? Are you emotionally connected to bad news? Or are you emotionally connected to failure? Do you have to feel bad news during your day to feel at peace? Some people are not comfortable in peace. Some people, peace is too peaceful. They need chaos. And to tell the truth, we all need chaos every once in a while because peace is too peaceful. You do need to have some excitement in your life every once in a while, right? But it has to be A, responsible, and B, safe, and C, balanced, right? You can't be chaotic most of your life. That's not, you're better off being peaceful most of your life and using chaos when necessary. You're better off being peaceful most of your life and using chaos when necessary. So, and think about it, to my gentlemen out there, nobody wants to be, well, ladies too, shit. Nobody wants to be around anybody chaotic. Anybody that got a whole bunch of drama, a whole bunch of mess going on. Now, but again, there are some people who like that. They feel like that's exciting. Like it's like they're living their own reality show. They're living in their own soap opera, right? They're living in their own sitcom where there's all these ups and downs and high arcs and low arcs in a relationship and high vibrational times where everything's great and things are going good, and then low vibrational times when things are going bad and there's arguments and hatefulness, right? Same thing that they've seen in TV all their life. So we have to realize we're being programmed always being programmed. So we have to be aware of self-programming. And that's what communication is ultimately about. So we're talking about the old gods, right? So this Mr. Wednesday, you could also call Mr. Wednesday Odin in this particular situation, right? Which they have in the show. And Mr. Wednesday, if you notice Odin, this is Odin in Marvel. Odin is really one-eyed, right? So Odin being a one-eyed man, if you look, the eye that is shrouded is his right eye. You have to look at it if you were, look at it if you were looking from that perspective. So his right eye is being covered. And Odin is single-minded. He's rogue and he does his own thing. Odin is a manipulator. In Thor Ragnarok, Odin is who convinced Hela to help him conquer part of the universe, right? Help him win wars. And then he tucked Hela away. And he didn't tell anybody. He's a manipulator. So in the same way, in a narcissist and a selfish, the same way Mr. Wednesday is, right? In this show, American Gods. He continues to treat his son, Shadow Moon, we're going to get into him soon, but he continues to treat his son, Shadow Moon, and manipulate him and use him for his own selfish gain in the show. Now, he represents the old gods. And these are old gods that I call BC gods, and not the BC of the old times, but the new BC, which is before Karena, right? And y'all know what I'm talking about. Before Karena, before Karena, right? So there's the BC time, before 2020, before March 2020. That was a different time period. So he's the god of Jesus. He's the god of Muhammad, the god of Zoroaster, even the gods of Kemet, right? He represents an old guard, but he's not really, well, let me take it back. He doesn't really represent Kemet or even a secret society. He represents like these guys that are like, you have to do what I say, and there's no other God but me. And what do I mean by that, right? Some people say that there's only one God, right? But there's millions of people on the planet. And Jesus said, do you not know that ye are gods and sons of the Most High? So I have said, Psalms 82, verse 6, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. It did not say that you are mortals. It did not say that you are men and women. It says that ye are gods and children of the Most High. Now, there's a lot of people that are not seeking the Most High. They're not seeking the Most Highest, and not even just the Most High as far as a deity or some sort of physical representation of energy, right? Not seeing, they're not even trying to be their most highest versions of themselves, right? As far as thoughts, as far as diet, as far as friendships, as far as lovers they choose, as far as even sometimes career paths, right? These are all areas of life that we have to aim to be at our most high, at our most highest. And one of the ways of doing it, yes, is to attune to the Most High. But the Most High is whatever you say it is to you. Now, if this whatever you say it is to you makes you better, that is the Most High. If whatever you see and say it is to you makes you worse, makes you disconnected, takes you away from your connection with other people, takes you away from healing, takes you away from health, takes you away from wealth, takes you away from peace, takes you away from power and all sorts of prosperity, right? Then you have to move on. You have to find a new system. You have to create a system that works for you, or find a system that works for you. But you have to seek the Most High. You are children, meaning you are children, meaning you are being raised into becoming the Most High through your lifetime. And therefore, this is where legacy comes in, right? When you are peaking and living your life in this way, or living your life in this manner, now you are representing the Most High. So a lot of people take this for granted. And mind you, no one's perfect, right? We all have ups and downs and ways and characteristics that we need to work on. But we should continue to become a work in progress and dedicate our lives, if we so choose, because it's still a choice and it's still free will, to be children, meaning not childish, but childlike, meaning being creative, meaning being fearless, meaning being joyful, happy, fun-loving, right? And thoughtful, like children are. Children don't care. A black kid will hug a little white kid in a second. A child will give somebody a hug in a minute if they feel like it. And they will also tell the truth. They're honest. Sometimes to a fault, but they're straight honest. Child will be like, look at him, he's fat. Or mommy, she smells. The kid will give you the real. The kid ain't gonna lie to you. The kid will give you the real. Shout out to Bell Fan. Shout out to Nikita Black. Shout out to Dark Mount. Shout out to Come to Mama again. I appreciate y'all being here. So now with becoming the Most High, right, there's challenges. So let's go back to my man. So this is American Gods. This is a show that was on Stars. So there's people who are trapped into thinking that the Most High, though, is, Jesus or somebody else outside them, which, again, I don't knock anybody's religion. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I'm not knocking you. If you need that physical representation of a particular energy, which is basically the energy of Jupiter and, the energy of the sun, the son of man that is in you, which is your heart, then I don't know. It's up to you. I don't judge people for what they choose as long as it makes them better. But I will say that if someone says that you have to only believe one thing when you're in a world with billions and different perspectives, then you have to really, and we're all different, right? Well, none of us are the same. We're all unique. Even if you're twins, you're unique. That's why when people say there's a clones, I'm like, okay, there are clones, but when people program a clone, they can only program a clone to do programmed things. They don't have a spirit, right? They don't have any type of spirit. It's basically just a program. It's kind of like a hybrid, so to speak. But anyway, when you are believing in just one thing and you don't venture off into studying other religions or other ideas or other philosophies, right? You're stuck in an old God mode. And this is not to say new gods are better than old gods. We're going to get into that, what that really means, to be exact. But in this particular mode, when you're just, now he's again, Odin, one-eyed, right? His left eye. So he's only thinking logical. He's only thinking about himself. He's selfish. He's manipulative, right? He's only thinking about his own self-preservation, right? And in this show, he uses his son for basically him to continue to gain more worshipers. So he represents a Jesus motif. He represents a Muhammad motif. He represents, because many people are waking up now, they're understanding that, there's religion and religion has wisdom in it, but you cannot be healed by words. You have to be healed by experiences, right? Words can't heal you. A book can't heal you. One book can't do it, right? There's too many other words and too many other books of wisdom and too many other books of knowledge that one book alone cannot do it. But that's the easy way out because you don't have to study anything. It's the easy way out. You don't have to study anything. You don't have to research anything. You don't have to think critically for yourself. So you just have to follow this one thing. And it's logical, right? Because, hey, there's more people doing it than others, right? That's how the left hand of the brain works. It's like a logical machine. It's like, okay, I can do this and this person can't do this. But there's no emotion attached to it. It's like I'm bigger and this person's smaller. So because I'm bigger, logically, I should be able to take from somebody that's smaller because I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and the smaller person can't beat me, right? That's logic. And when you add emotion to that logic, it's like, yes, but this person is also another human being like me or another God like me, right? Namaste, I see the God in you, right? So this person is also another God like me. This person is also another light bearer, potentially like me. Or this person is just another person that deserves their own time and space, just like I deserve my own time and space. That's treating thy neighbor as thyself, right? But when you are primarily left brain, which is what this Western patriarchy that they talk about is, Western patriarchy has nothing to do with melanated men whatsoever. Let's make that clear. Western patriarchy has nothing to do with melanated so-called Black men. So everybody, there's these feminists that's railing and rallying against the patriarchy. That has nothing to do with us. In our wisdom, right? We were in our wisdom when men were going through initiations and men were going through mystery schools, right? And men were going through different rituals. They had female pharaohs. There were female kings in our kingdoms, melanated female kings in Egypt / Kemet. That's the bloodline was matrilineal. So we, as melanated men, those of us who could go back that far in our bloodline and feel that vibration in our soul, right, in our DNA, in our own mitochondria, we understand that we're not part of what y'all say melanated men are part of, which is the patriarchy, right? We have a different emotional connection to where we say, okay, this is a woman, let's treat her. We understand that she's a woman. She may be smaller, some of us, right? There's some of us that are not on that Western mindset. We understand that she's smaller, but we're going to, so because of that, we're going to make sure she's safer. We're going to try to treat her better, right? We're not going to mishandle her, et cetera, right? But now we know shit is all crazy. The women are throwing hands more than the men now. Because they know men are behind the 8 ball in some cases, right? Not all, but in some cases, that's what's happening. So, and that's also that left eye logic, that where, oh, well, I know he's a man, I could do X, Y, Z to him, and I know the consequences for me, but I'm not thinking about how it could affect that man's future, how it could affect that man's family, how it could affect that man's employment, and vice versa. A man that's an abuser, you don't know how that's, you should know how that's affecting that woman, but maybe it's something you saw in childhood and you're just replicating, or again, you're thinking just from that left eye perspective of logic. I'm bigger, she's smaller, she got to do what I say. And like vice versa. Oh, he's a man, he's weak, I can hit him, I can get away with it. It's that singular, no emotional connection, no type of attachment, no type of togetherness, that no type of love, right? Love is the ultimate connection. Making love, right, is what people call having sex. Now, most people are fucking, or right, but it's still a form of connection. It's one of the ultimate connections because babies are made. people that grow and live to like 100 and something years come from that connection. So we are beings that, and this is scientifically proven, we are beings that are meant to be social. We're meant to be connected to each other. We're not meant to be isolated. We're not meant to be 6 feet apart. We're not meant to be talking to each other just over Zoom or StreamYard. There's a lot of people who take in a lot of content off the internet, right? But then they don't connect with people. Guess who was that way? You're looking at them. Just taking in content, reading things, learning things, and just keeping it to myself. But Ashe, to the ancestors, Hotep, they had an army go in another direction, and I'm grateful, I'm thankful again for y'all that are here. Shout out to y'all. Yo, shout out to somebody gave me I don't know if they're gonna go and watch it, but they gave me a very nice cash app, totally unexpected. So shout out to you. I think the name starts with GR, if I'm not mistaken. So blessings, peace to you, for real. And if you're, a man, that kiss is just like a kiss to the sky. Blessings. You gotta be careful. You gotta stay told. Let me get off camera. I want you to see this particular drink. I'll be right back. I thought I had more water. Okay, so a lot of these religions, they're dictatorships. They're dictatorships, and they want you to go where they want you to go. They want you to think about what they want you to think. Shout out to Silver King. Shout out to Isaac McCoy. Shout out to Ariana Sings Vibrations. They want you to think what they want you to think. You can't do this. You can't do that. Right? You can't do this. You can't do that. But people are doing what they want to do. Anyway, that's the thing. And people are just coming to church on Sundays to see a show and to get a little bit of inspiration. But it's the choir and the organ that stirs your organs, the preacher that uses words and says, and the Lord said it when Jesus comes back, and when it's just your heart, and when Jehovah God comes, and when the chariot rises up, and when the Holy Spirit touches your back and it reaches in your spine, and then you say, Jesus. That's going to be my second career. If this don't work out, I'll be a preacher. I'll tell you now, right now. You'll see me with the black and white. Bless you, my son. Nah, I could never. But, well, shit. That's how but I know that's the frequencies that they hit you with those frequencies, right? And it stirs your inside and you feel great and you praise the Lord. And by Tuesday, maybe by Sunday night, depending on what you're going through, that high goes away. By Monday morning, it's back to work or it's back to the grind. That little high starts to drain. You might feel a little bit Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, by Monday evening, most of it is gone. And by Tuesday, yeah, it's pretty much that little high, that little emotional endorphin high, that neurotransmitting stimulation high that had your blood moving, and your nervous system popping, and your skeletal system cracking, and the endocrine glands endocrining. and shooting hormones in your bloodstream, right? This is the physical manifestation of these thoughts. This is the physical manifestation of these sounds. You can't. So the experience behind the Bible sometimes is because a lot of churches, like I've been to churches, a lot of churches, they don't really do a lot of preaching. They do a little bit. Some churches do more than others, but most of the time it's just an experience of the choir and the preacher saying a little speech, but a lot of times it's mostly the choir, right? And the organ behind the preacher. So, it's a emotional attachment to that frequency. And listen, sometimes you need it, but for someone to say, yo, I have to do this way, Or if I don't do it this way, I'm going to go to a fiery hell. Like, what? If I don't do it the way you say, I'm going to go to a fiery hell that I cannot see, that no one has come back to tell me exists, that there's no proof of. But you're going to tell me that if I don't do what you say, I'm going to go to hell. So you made an imaginary trap. And this, what this does is this induces guilt, right? This induces guilt. So this is that whole, you know, in Magic, they have the left-hand path, because the left-hand path is about doing like creating things, pentagrams and sigils and things like that in occult magic, right? It's about creating different things, you know, creating different things, symbolism and stuff like that, but actual creation, right? Not just a thought, which is the right-hand path, which is the path of the right brain, which is the emotions, the visuals, right? The law of attraction, the meditation, right? Different things like that. Left-hand path is not really about the meditation. It's not really about the going into spirit. It's more about, okay, this spell does this and this spell does that. If I put A plus B, it's going to produce C, right? If I get a bat wing, if I get a bat's wing and I get a cat's claw, and if I get a dolphin's fin, E, A plus B plus C equals D, right? But the right-hand path is more about spirit paths, you know. Even left-hand path would be kind of hoodoo-ish, unless you were like a person who talked to your herbs and, you know, spoken to your herbs when you were creating them or cooking them, because hoodoo is basically herb magic, right? Voodoo, which is dealing with deities and statuettes, that's more of that's more a right-hand path, right? Because you're imagining this deity coming, or you're imagining to see a vision of an aberration of this deity from the darkness into the light, right? So it's not necessarily something that's tangible, even though you might have a statue or something like that, or some type of icon or idol. It's more so. It's more of a visual phenomenon than you actually like sacrificing a goat or sacrificing a chicken, or putting something on a, you know, putting pennies on a train tracks and stuff like that. It's like left-hand magic. So, well, I went to a different tangent, but let me get back on track. So, so this one-eyed perception is the same one that he has in American Gods. That's why he's selfish and manipulative, right? So this is a negative version of an old god. This is a negative perception of an old god. This is a old god that is trying to trap you into something, that is trying to keep you behind bars, so to speak, that is trying to rule you through fear, because the fear is you going to hell. That's the same fear that the news has, you dying or you getting hurt, right? It's the same fear that the advertisers put into you. If you don't have this, you're nothing. Fear, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? FOMO, fear of missing out, right? If you don't take this trip, if you don't have Versace, if you don't go to this show, if you're not part of this fashion, if you're not at the Rock Nation brunch, if you're not, you know, don't have 1 million followers, right? Fear, if you don't go viral, fear and anxiety, depression. Pumped constantly 24/7 through the media, right? And it's all about, again, single-mindedness. What can I get out of the deal? Not forget, screw everybody else. It's all about me. But that's what happens. But that's what happens a lot of times through trauma and just wanting to protect yourself. But then again, you isolate yourself from everyone else and you start to damn everyone else But when you're damning someone, or when you're saying someone is going to hell, or when you are saying screw them, it's all about me, you're also screwing yourself. You're also screwing yourself. Because neurons that fire together, this is another, neurons that fire together wire together, right? So that's another form of connection. This is how you create thoughts. This is how you create ideas. This is how you create visions. So depending on your connection, and this connection is more so of being in the now, being able to relate to others, developing character, developing etiquette, developing nobility, developing principles and values that deal with nurturing who, what you are, and what your purpose is. That's an inside job, though. But anyway, so that is a left brain perspective. Now, shadow, his son, the shadow of the moon. So the shadow of the moon is basically, do I still have that? I might have to leave. Or Marte. So the shadow of the moon is when the moon is completely in earth shadow. So it's when the moon is in earth shadow, right? So basically, in the nations of gods and earths, we call it the nation of gods and earths because the women were the earth. The women were the mother earth, right? And in this show, American Gods, these two same characters, this is not his mother, but his mother is black. His mother is melanated, right? Wednesday is his father. So his mother is melanated. And in this show, he keeps popping, this character, Shadow Moon, he keeps popping up with different powers that are unknowns to him. And whenever he's in the jam, this buffalo comes to him, which represents Taurus, which represents Venus, right? Which is the earth sign, represents. So the earth is in that connection as well, Mother Earth, right? And so forth. So he is basically a representation of the right brain, or the representation of or not even the right brain, but representation of the right and left brain. Being he's logical, he has his father's logic, but he has his mother's love, right? The love of his mother, the connection of his mother, the principles, the truth, the honor. And this is the buffalo representing that Taurus, or that ox, right? That ox energy, that Taurus energy, same thing. Even though it's a buffalo, it's the same thing. In Chinese astrology, the buffalo or the ox is the second zodiac. In tropical astrology, you have Aries, then you have Taurus. So Taurus would represent that ox and also the buffalo, right? So it's that earth energy, it's that love, it's that connection, it's that heart chakra stuff, right? And this is where it talks about his mother. Now, I'm going on into this to basically say that there are some old gods you got to shed, like a Wednesday, like these particular fairy tales. Now, this is not saying to shed the Bible. This is saying that the Bible is a book of magic. The Bible has a lot of wisdom, a lot of great lessons. But you have to look at some of the things a lot of the things in the Bible is metaphor. And you also have to realize that the Bible has been remixed. There's the Gospel of Thomas, there's the Gospel of Enoch, right, that are not in the Bible. There's these different Gospels that don't exist in the Bible that were taken. The Council of Nicene in 33 CE. People should know about this right now, or by now, but Council of Nicaea, yeah. This is when they broke up the Bible. It was a council of Christian bishops convened by the Bithynian city of Nicaea by the Roman Emperor Constantine in AD 325. This council was the first to attain consensus in the church through an assembly representing all right? So this is basically when they broke up the Bible, even though they don't say it there, but this is when they broke up the Bible in 33 CE. But anyway, you guys could look this up for yourself and get into the nook and cranny of it. But what we've been taught is not the full truth. So we have to move in a different era. We have to move and create different ideas. We have to move past the individual and past the individual gods and create gods that are part of the collective, right? So you have what you call the Netaru. Okay, some of this is just live research that's coming to me. So the Netaru is basically deities, or what they would call gods, right? You have the voodoo deities, different gods. You have the Greek gods, right? You have the Roman gods, right? So melanated people, not the ones. And this is a good. And basically, this is just nature, right? The word Netzaru or nature comes from where they got the word nature. And what happens is when you see these lion-headed gods or these dog-headed gods or these falcon-headed gods or these monkey-headed gods, these represent different aspects of nature: wind, water, foresight, discipline, organization, play, joy. All these different deities represent different aspects of physical, where animal nature, the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, because they realize that the mineral kingdom has a spirit. They realize the vegetable kingdom has a spirit. They realize the human kingdom has a spirit. The air kingdom has a spirit. The moisture kingdom has a spirit. And these spirits are just different forms of energy. They're different waves of energy. Fire is different than air. Air is different than water. Water is different than earth. And then you have different combinations within that. Carbon dioxide, you have helium, right? You could say that those are spirits, right? People don't call them that, but they're different chemicals creating something. H2O is two hydrogen, oxygen, right? So they're spirits in themselves. You drink liquor, what happens? You get tipsy, you act different. It's called spirits. Your spirit changes. The energy you're resonating with changes. So what we're really talking about when we're talking about a new God, we're talking about seeing things in new ways. We're really talking about the future. We're really talking about the future. And right now we are under Sagittarius. If you look at, this is the heart chakra. This is the heart chakra. And if you look at the heart chakra, what you'll notice, this is actually a better picture. What you'll notice is it looks like there is a U in it, right? There is a U, but there's also the astrological symbol of Jupiter. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Venus just went retrograde today. Venus is a planet that represents love. So as I was saying earlier, look back at your loved ones. This is the sign of Jupiter, just to show you how it compares. This is the heart chakra symbol. Jupiter, heart chakra. Jupiter, heart chakra. Jupiter, heart chakra. See it? Shout out to y'all that's in the building. Please hit that like button. So your Jupiter is the planet of a Jupiter, this astrological symbol, is a planet of abundance. It's a planet of growth. It's the planet of luck. See, there's a planet of, I just was saying this, luck, growth, expansion, optimism, abundance, understanding. So you create your own luck by learning lessons that are connected to your experiences in love and in life. But the deepest lessons will be through those that you love and those that you loved. Those that you were in romantic encounters with or are in a romantic encounter with. Now, let's say you are, right, just doing this type of thing for money. All right, you're having, I'm using an example. You're having sex for money, right? And there's no real connection to these people. But there's a connection to somebody. There's somebody that you really care about, somebody that you really have core feelings for, even if it's just a friend or something like that, that is non-sexual, but you are close to them. You share time, you share intimacy. That's your girlfriend. Like women do this, they're nesters. So you comb her hair, she combs your hair. Y'all help each other get dressed to go to the movies and get dressed to go to the club, right? It was a close, intimate relationship. You have to look at those people too and see how you're connected to them, see if they're benefiting you. And if they're not, then you have to make a decision. You might need to move. You might need to change environments. You might need to dig deeper. You might need to not repeat that decision. You made this decision before and it didn't work. And you might need to reevaluate and look at your decisions. Look at the people you're choosing. Look at the choices you're making. Because birds of a feather flock together. People that are similar, doing similar shit. People hang around people that they're similar to. Don't think you're so much better than your friend, or you know, their friend is so this or they're so dumb, but you hang around with them all the time. You just like entertaining yourself with people that don't challenge you to grow, or don't challenge you to think, or don't challenge you to think outside of your comfort zone. There's a time and place for comfort, and there's a time and place for growth. A tree is always growing, but you don't see a tree always growing. So there's always room for growth. And it happens in increments. The problem with a lot of people is they want to come into this type of thing and they just want to ABC it. They don't want to learn any techniques or anything like that. So The new gods aren't bad, right? The new gods aren't bad. The metaverse isn't bad. It's how you use it. It's how you use it. It's how you use it. It's how you choose to entangle with it. There's going to be money making opportunities in there. There's no reason right now, 2021 going into 2022, people should be talking about broke. There's no reason Black boys have to just sell dope. There's too many other options out there. There's no reason that Black boys just have to scam. You have the internet. You have different options. There's different jobs, there's different careers, there's different ways to create. And if you're not an internet type of person, there's still tools on the internet that can help you in the terrestrial world, whether you're an architect or a plumber or electrician or, you're a mover, whatever, right? You work in a store, whatever. There's different tools out here to elevate you. It's just, what are you spending your time on and what are you spending your attention on? You could get logged into their metaverse and stay in their metaverse, so you could create your own metaverse using your metaphysics, using your mind, right? And let's get a little bit into what we're going to talk, what the last part of this. Let's see if I covered all. No, I'm going to come back to. Yeah, okay, so we're going to come back. We understand. All right, so what I want to talk about is moving on from that, moving on from the new gods to the old gods, what's going on. Touched on some of the things that's going on with the Omarion. We touched on some of the old gods with these traditional religions and how that's changing in people, and how and people are awakening, and how you could create a whole new world. And this, when I say connecting with people, I'm not saying you're going to connect with every single person, right? People are different, right? Everybody's different, but you should be able to connect with your tribe in 2022. You have to have the perception that you're going to create your own tribe, that you're going to have people that vibe with you, that you're going to have people that understand you. The age of the weirdo is here. If you're weird, if you're different, if you're odd, this is your time, right? There's weird, odd, different people too. There's people that are sheep that follow the same patterns too. There's people, for instance, there's people that are very, 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 very corporate, right? They love corporate America. This is their dream. This is how they want to operate. I have people in my family that they're just super duper corporate. Even outside of corporate America, they still operate like a corporate person, right? That's what they're comfortable with. Me, myself, I feel like I'm more of a creative, right? When I know I'm more of a creative. So corporate structure in its totality doesn't always and necessarily sit well with me, right? So this is why I always have to continue to dibble and dabble and do different things, because that would never be something that I would be comfortable with, because a lot of times it's not based on how people are able to grow or move forward in the company or even do their job better. It's just about profits, and it's just about screw everybody else in some companies, right? So when we're talking about old gods and new gods, right, we're talking about mind over matter, essentially. And what is mind over matter? When we're talking about mind over matter, we're talking about the future, mind, versus the past, matter. So mind is the future and the now, matter is the past. Think about it, right? The dirt outside has been here before you were born. The dirt under the concrete has been here before I was born, right? There's trees on my block that have been here before I was born, right? There's parks, monuments, pyramids, statues, grass, right? Different species of animals, right? That have been here before I was born, dinosaurs that have been here before I was born. So matter in its base level and its base level is always going to be dealing with the past. When you're using matter to create something, you're always using something that's from the past, right? Something that's been created from something that was already here. This computer is made of, this laptop is made of coltan and cobalt and quartz and other chips and metals, right? That were already here. They were already here. So somebody just decided that they were going to put it together and figure out how to make a machine that works with these different components. But so in creating the computer with the metal and the coltan and the cobalt and the quartz crystals, right? And creating a computer with these different elements, what it took was someone's mind to see the future. And the future was the laptop before it was created. The past was the elements. Again, the coltan, the cobalt, the metal, the quartz. That's the past. The future is making it cohesive and creating an actual laptop or a smartphone or a smart tablet, right? That is the future thought. And the future has become now here, right? We got cell phones, we got, laptops, we got computers, we even have smart TVs, right? That could get us on the internet. That was not here in 1992. That was not here in 1995, right? 1980, 1970. So when you're talking about the future, you're talking about always staying in mind. See, people think the mind is the brain, and the mind has nothing to do with the brain whatsoever. The brain, all it does is remembers the past. So the brain is like this. Okay, I almost got hit by a bus, right? You was crossing the street, you didn't see the bus, almost got hit by a bus, right? So the brain is going to say, next time you cross the street, I'm going to make sure that I give you a biochemical feeling, which will be nervousness, which will be you tensing up, which will be you being alert when you cross the street. So now, so that you don't kill yourself, because the body is all about self-preservation, right? And all about your memory of how you've preserved yourself, right? So the brain is always remembering the past, right? But the mind is thinking of different ways. You could be in your mind and cut your brain off. You could be so deep in thought, as they say, that you are in your vision or your visualization, and you're thinking about something totally different and forget and tune out the brain, tune out the past, tune out the past memory. And we know it's happened, right? Those of you who drive, right? Sometimes you'll be so deep in thought and you know how to get back to your house. You know the road to take, you know the turn to take, you know exactly. You've done this dozens of times, hundreds maybe. But you're so deep in thought that you forget the past and you're in the future. So you are now in the mind versus you being in the brain. And in quantum physics, as again, we talked about this earlier, there are waves and there are particles, right? Interestingly enough, astrologically speaking, Jupiter and Saturn are in Aquarius. If you look at the sign of Aquarius is waves. The astrological symbol of Aquarius is waves. So Jupiter, the planet of abundance, and Saturn, the planet of discipline and structure, are both in Aquarius in the age that we are in. Aquarius is an air sign. We discussed air earlier, how air is invisible. You can't see it, but air is also in constant motion because we breathe in and breathe out oxygen. We breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, but we still have an exchange with oxygen, which we know is all across the earth and one of the basic elements of the universe. It's an element in the universe because we're in the universe. So when we're talking about wave and particle, the wave is the idea. The wave is the visualization, right? The wave is the perception. But the wave is also how you feel. You can feel a wave of energy. You touch a hot stove, you feel a wave of heat, a stinging sensation. It's a wave. It doesn't last forever. If you get pinched, somebody pinches you, you go out. It's a wave of pain. When you get a tattoo, it's waves of pain until it stops. So we have brain waves, thoughts, but thoughts create biochemicals, neurotransmitters. Our endocrine system, our glands secrete hormones to hardwire that thought in our body. So everything we think becomes a thing. Everything we think, even if it's about someone else, it becomes a thing. It becomes a reality. Sometimes, depending on how many people you piss off, they have enough thoughts that it could be a form of a curse or a form of a hex against you. Because so many people are thinking the same thing. Like, this is why a lot of times when they say, you know, you'll have on social media or whatever, they'll say, oh, somebody's dead or somebody's about to die, right? And then as soon as they announce it and people start to think that they're dead, I remember this happened to Bernie Mac. They were talking about he died before he died. And he probably was fighting, but so many people thought that he died. Eventually he passed away, rest in power. So the mind is what creates the particle. The mind is what creates the particle. The mind is what creates the reality. The brain is just a process to move the mind. The brain is just a tool for the mind. But the mind exists outside of reality whatsoever, what we call reality, this three-dimensional reality, because the mind creates its own reality through imagination. This is why Mark Zuckerberg with his Meta commercial wants to take control of your imagination. This is why the metaverse wants to take control of your imagination. This is why the internet, social media, wants to take control of your imagination. This is why the advertisers and the shows and the sitcom want to take control of your imagination through stories, through their own morals, through their own values, through their own judgment systems. And then they put these judgment systems, these morals, and these values on you. Look at the rise of Lil Nas X. There's countries where there are no gender. There's countries where the kids don't have to tell their parents that they're choosing a different gender. And it's happening right now. Forgot the country. But it's happening right now where there's kids that are saying, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. So what happens to the sex when there's no gender? But yet there is a law of gender because there's masculine and feminine energy. Even in the brain, there's masculine and feminine energy. There's a vagina and a penis. The penis rises. The vagina, as we know, turns into a lake. It's beautiful when the two come together as one. But they're two different things. They are not the same. They don't have the same responses. So when you look at it energetically and you look at it abstractly, instead of you looking at, again, what's being pumped, right? What's what they're telling you, how they're trying to affect your mind, how they're planting seeds in your mind, in your imagination. Those seeds you're planting in your own imagination through some of the things you're watching, through some of the things you're listening to. I was listening to somebody throw a barbecue or something the other day, right? And I was listening to the music, just the lyrics of the music, of the sounds, and you know, with the great beats, with banging beats, right? But I'm listening to the music, I'm hearing what they're saying. And I'm like, damn, this is the program that is running in your mind. These things conjure up images. Yeah, you're dancing to it. Yeah, you think it's innocent, but the subconscious, what you call the subconscious, which is just the mind, which is just you having access to the mind, to the universal mind, to the all, to dark matter, dark energy, because that's what it is when you're in the mind, you're in a space of darkness creating. Your imagination is a dark room. Just like when you take photos and the old school photos and you hung them up in the dark room. And then they came out. And then, after a while, in the dark room, you are able to process the film and see the actual image. But that's what your imagination does. So the waves, right, creating waves and turning waves into particles, this particular time period before the winter solstice is about preparing your perception to see what they call the impossible and to feel the impossible, to create waves of energy and waves of thoughts. When you do this, you harness, and it doesn't matter what's happening in your so-called reality. Because reality is what you make it. Reality, there's animals, but there's dogs. Dogs are colorblind. They don't see the world the way you see the world. A lizard sees the world in different technicolor, I think, right? Frogs see the world different. Bees see the world different. Flies see the world different. Reality is based on how you perceive it. And no matter what you're going through in life, you can always create the future in your mind. Like they say, can trap your body, but can't trap your mind. So this is how you create new particles. This is how you create new observations. This is how you create new things. This is how you create new inventions. By keeping your mind in the future, by keeping your mind in the now. Being in the now will put you in the future. When you use the past is just for lessons. That's why your brain is a processor of the past. So the past is always going to be stuck in matter. So when you talk about mind over matter, you're talking about the future over the past. And there's different parts of this, right? This is a look at my notes. So when we're talking about, there's two different forms of intelligence when you're looking at, and this is, so the old God is the past, right? Old gods are stuck in the past. New gods will move in the future. And we're taking elements of the past that we've learned, and we're constantly looking at what's the next best thing, what's the next new thing, what lesson do I need to learn from this exchange with people, with the environment, with my career, with my money, how I've spent my money this year. These are things that need to be journaled, and also things that need to be thought about. These are things that need to be pondered when you take your time. And these things need to be charged. So I know this particular ritual, this flame ritual, where you write these things on a piece of paper, these affirmations, and you go outside and you burn it, will help you. Because you're igniting a part of you. And now is really the best time based on this full moon energy that still is in play. Even if you're watching this tomorrow, the energy is still in play. So now it's time to hop to it. And there's two parts of this. There's really two main parts of the brain, the two hemispheres of the brain, when we're talking about old gods and new gods, right? So the new is basically something that you're going to deal with when you're dealing with the right brain. Does not say the right brain is better or the left brain is worse. They both work hand in hand. Your past, your ancestors are part of your past, right? So your ancestors aren't bad. Your history, you becoming who you are, is part of your past. So that's not bad, but it's just the past, right? It's just things that happen, things you can't change. In the future is where you can't change. In the wave is where you can change things. In the physical wave, the physical frequency, in the mental wave, the mental frequency, through your thoughts, through your ideas and your vision is where you can change things. And then the more you think these things, you create neurochemicals that secrete through your body that hardwire you wanting to do these things. You wanted to create these, you wanted to build these things or whatever, or just the magnetism to draw these things to you. Because now you're vibrating at a different frequency, a frequency of the future instead of the frequency of the past. And one of the two ways to identify this and to, because there is no old gods versus new gods, really. It's really just understanding how to utilize both, how to understand to utilize the new gods, how to understand how to utilize the old gods properly, right? How to understand how to flow through the metaverse, how to understand how to flow through the internet, and how to understand how to utilize go back and communicate and form connections with your ancestors by having an altar, by honoring them in different days, making sure that you are and most importantly, being grateful, being grateful for life, being grateful for the things that you have. This is you looking at the past from a positive perspective as well, being grateful that whatever trauma, whatever hardship, whatever things that you went through, you're still here, you're still alive, you're still surviving. Hopefully you still have your health. But if you don't have your health, be grateful that you have the ability to fight it off, that you have the ability to fight, that you have the strength to keep going. Those the little things that give you energy, and it's the little things that help you heal the past. Be grateful that you went and survived whatever situation it was, and heal. Heal. You can't run from these thoughts. You can't run from these ideas. You have to face them, feel them, have compassion, and talk to your inner child. This is going into the past again. This is going into the matter world, but you're using the mind, right, as a tool. This is mind over matter for real, using the mind as a tool to move matter. And these matters are matters of the past. So you're using your mind to move matter, and you're using your mind to move matter also in the future. So these are different things that this is really a time for really assessing where you want to go. This is really a future time, though. Not so much of going back into the past. That's more like September, October. This is really more seeing the future. But if you have to go into the past to heal certain things, going into the past is more so this year, this time of the year, looking back at your romantic connections, looking back at the people that you loved, looking back at the people you were in relationships with, looking back at the people you have friendships with, looking back at your morals, your principles, your judgments, how you compromised them this year, how you didn't compromise them this year, etc. When you're dealing with knowledge, you're dealing with material intelligence. So you're dealing with when you're dealing with knowledge, you're dealing with like book knowledge, right? You're dealing with stuff that you heard, stuff that you acquired, stuff that you learned, right? So knowledge is pretty much how you protect the ego, okay? Or protect not just the ego, but protect the human body, right? Protect your health, protect your sanity, protect your peace, whatever it is, protect your belongings, etc. Protect, yourself. So you need knowledge to do that, even if it's just a little bit of knowledge, even if it's just base knowledge. Like there's some people that, they don't have college degrees, or they're not, they didn't even graduate high school, right? But they have knowledge of how to work the system. They have knowledge of how to get food stamps, how to get this particular benefit, how to get this government is doing this, where you can get this, what resource they have a different type of knowledge. So just because they need that type of knowledge to survive and make it through the system, because they didn't have quote unquote book knowledge. So knowledge is basically to keep you surviving. It's material intelligence. It's dealing with matter. It's dealing with the earth. Again, you get it from books. You get it from someone else. You get it from podcasts, you get it from the internet, right? You're getting something that someone already put here and something that someone already left here, right? And knowledge you learn also through other people's, you learn other people's through watching other people's and observing and things like that, right? But it's still looking at something that's already here. You have, and that's knowledge. Ego is something different. Ego is basically you. Ego is you thinking that you're better than someone. Ego is thinking that because you have knowledge, you think you're better, and not ego in like a good way. Because you need an ego to move forward. You need an ego to assert yourself. You need an ego to be confident. You need an ego to be brave, right? You need an ego to stand up for yourself. But the ego used negatively in a negative manner is an ego. It's an ego that is selfish. It's an ego that doesn't care about anybody. It's an ego that just wants to pump himself up and feel good about himself, but is not care about anybody else getting their shine, or doesn't want to share, right? Or, et cetera, et cetera. So the ego makes you think that you don't pee like everybody else and you don't poop like everybody else, right? You start to think you're better than somebody. So that's the opposite of having knowledge. But it's still wrapped up in the material world. Now you have wisdom, which is emotional knowledge. So wisdom is basically wisdom is you have the knowledge, okay? You have the knowledge of, I know that there's a bed, right? So I know that there's a bed. I know what a bed is. That's knowledge. I know a bed has a mattress, right? It has pillows. It has a blanket, right? That's what a bed is. But the emotional intelligence about a bed is how good it feels when you're sleeping, when you're tucked under the covers, when you got a nice soft pillow. Difference between sleeping on a waterbed and Sealy's mattress and some hard ass mattress, right? So there's an emotional intelligence to the bed than it just being a mattress, pillows, box spring, blanket. So wisdom is the emotional intelligence behind the thing. Some people don't have the emotional intelligence about things, but they just have an emotional intelligence is usually built on some sort of experience, right? It's usually some sort of experience through observing and drawing an emotional connection to whatever the situation is, or they themselves going through having knowledge of something, but now having an experience themselves, or again through observation, right? And gaining wisdom because they know how it feels. It's not just book smarts, right? They know how it feels. There's a difference between listening to hip hop and understanding Life in the Projects through a Nas album, or Life in the Projects through a Moneybagg Yo album, than actually living in the projects, right? Living in the projects is going to give you wisdom. And that knowledge of living in the projects and that wisdom of going through experiences in the projects is going to give you the third part, which is understanding, right? And understanding, again, if you look at understanding starts with a U. And if you look, you are dealing again with the heart chakra, okay? Where you gain an understanding. See, a lot of people have knowledge, a lot of people know what's going on. They're woke, they understand the secret societies, they understand the Anunnaki, they understand all the magic spells, right? Or they know all the magic spells. They know all the names of the deities. They know what rituals to do at this time. They know, but they don't do it. So they don't have wisdom, right? They just have knowledge, but they don't live the lifestyle. So they don't have wisdom. They don't have the experience, the emotional connection. So therefore, they don't have a real understanding, a heart chakra connection to it, right? They don't really have a heart chakra connection. And you could just get caught up in ego again, having all the knowledge and repeating all the knowledge, that you don't have wisdom, the emotional connection, which is generated via the heart chakra. But there's also that you here for understanding, which again, Jupiter, abundance, right? So it leads you to create a culture or a way of life. So wisdom is emotional intelligence. The opposite of wisdom is chaos. The opposite of wisdom is chaos. And if you are around a chaotic person, right? I know I've dated some women who we would call wisdoms that were chaotic. Just chaos, love chaos, in chaos, just chaotic people. Different days, different moods, different times, different actions, different, talking sideways, talking crazy, right? We've all, men and women, been in these different type of relationships where it's just been chaotic, no wisdom. And these people may have been smart. There's something about you that attracted them. Maybe they were smart. Maybe they knew how to dress. Maybe they had the right thing to say at the right time. They exuded a certain amount of confidence, right? But they had no real wisdom, right? No real emotional intelligence. So there will be chaos if that's the case. There will be chaos. There will be different disorders. Now, you could be the master of chaos, right? Where you understand what it is and come to an understanding that is chaotic. But the goal is to avoid chaos and to be with someone who has wisdom, who can see things and understands things, and maybe could give you great advice because they have wisdom, because they've been there, or they've been around somebody who's been there, or they've experienced something. And then you gain an understanding, and then you could actually live properly and develop a culture, a way of life with principles, morals, and values. So understanding is the combination of knowledge and wisdom. And knowledge, again, is left brain. Wisdom is primarily right brain. We're dealing with thoughts. Thoughts are ideas, right? We're dealing with thoughts and we're dealing with emotions. Thoughts produce emotions. So it's mind over matter. So mind your matters. Mind what your matters is. Mind what your legacy is, what your past has taught you, what your future is. Mind your matters. Turn your mind, your waves into particles, matter. No matter what you're going through, no matter what challenges you have, through your thoughts, through the energy that's resonating on the planet right now, you have the ability to change your life, to change your character, to change your bad habits, to change the way you treat people and the way you shine your light in the world, to move courageously, to change your diet, to change your health, to help change the direction of your family, because you can't change nobody but yourself. All you have to do is be a light and show love. No matter what you go through, doesn't mean you have to be evil or wicked to people. Some people you got to separate from. Some people you got to keep your distance from. Some people you got to back the fuck up from. But it doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. It doesn't mean you have to turn rude. It doesn't mean you have to turn cruel and turn angry, because you're going to need to be connected to people in 2022. It's going to be a crazy ride. I'm going to talk about that. We're going to decode some of the Book of Revelations, my next video. And last but not least, what I want to say is have a gratitude, power attitude going into this week. The winter solstice is coming up. You want to think good thoughts as much as possible. the media is going to do what it's going to do. They're going to talk about the Samarian thing and keep pumping it. They're going to talk about how many people got it. They're going to talk about how the hospitals are full. They're going to talk about this food. The food's going to go up. How people are losing, not working. They're going to say all the bad things. You have to have in your mind, harnessed your future when these things come up. You have to have in your mind, your imagination, the reality that you want to see. You have to take time during the day when you're going to the bathroom, when you're at work, when you're in the shower, when you're driving, when you're doing random things. You have to take time to feel, see, think, and feel your new life and your new reality. And most importantly, take this into meditation at least once a day. But when we're going to the solstice, which we'll talk about my next video, that's going to be before the revelation video. I'm going to talk about the winter solstice, but you have to, if you don't know how to meditate, learn to meditate. But you're going to have to meditate at least once a day. And I would say those of you who are going to watch this maybe tomorrow, those of you who are watching this tonight, try to eat light tomorrow. Like, try not to eat any heavy animal like beef, like turkey, shit like that. Now, you know what you can afford. I can't tell you, what to eat specifically, but try not to. Try to eat lighter. You know what I'm saying? Try not to eat, even if you can, try to even avoid chicken. Just try to eat lighter. And during the next when winter solstice, you really want to hardwire your diet, either fast or like fruits, vegetables, because that's the time when your spirit is the most receptive to change, to transformation, to changing character. If you're lazy, if you're not lazy, if you're overworking, if you're not peaceful, if you're chaotic, if shit keeps happening in your life, the bad habits that you want to change and the things you want to improve on that are going to make you better and connect you to more people and to make you shine your light even brighter and to make you step out of the shadows even brighter and to make you a beacon of God here on earth. Do you not know that ye are gods and children of the Most High? So what is your Most High? Not just the Most High out there. What is your Most High? What is the highest you could reach? Where's the highest you could go? What's your Most High? And with that said, I think I've been on here a little over 2 hours. I don't want to make this super duper long. So I think that's good enough. Hopefully, again, the ritual is to get a piece of paper, write down affirmations of things you want to change in your character. There are also things you want to have, things that you wish for, things that are within your wheelhouse, things that you are implementing. Because the real new year is 12/26. 12/26 is the real new year. 12/25 is the real new year. Right? They call it Christmas, but that's when the New Year's Day, if you're going to celebrate that part of New Year's Day, the real new year is, I'm talking about really the new spiritual year, but we'll get into that next video. The spiritual year is December 25th. The physical new year is in March, in Aries season. That's the physical new year. The spiritual new year is the 25th. That's when you get your gifts, right? And then we'll get into that next video. Definitely tomorrow, because I want to do that before the 21st. And I hope, again, the ritual. So write down these things. Go outside. There's still time if you're up watching this. If you watch this tomorrow, whatever, there's still time. Go burn that paper. Go out in the backyard, go on the porch, go by a tree. Let's go outside. Find some place that's close to nature, even if it's just a tree, even if it's just some grass. Might create that flame, burn that, and as you burn it, visualize what you want, say a prayer. Pray to your ancestors for their guidance. Pray to your spirit team for their guidance, which is your ancestors. Try to keep it practical, which is your spirit team or your ancestors, right? And ask for guidance, help, and direction from God. And God is just the collective consciousness and the best of the collective consciousness. Because when people pray to God, that's generally, they just want the best for themselves. So that's the wave and the frequency that could create particles if you choose to ride that wave. Again, peace, power, prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tapping in, and thank you for your time. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate the love. And if you're here, please hit the like button. If please subscribe if you are new here. And I'm out. All right, take care, y'all. Peace. Oh, wait. Thank you for the donation. Zero Cool. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it.